Good morning. My name is Matt Bruce. My pronouns are he, him, and I have the joy of serving on your board of trustees. It is my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We look forward to getting to know you. We invite everyone present in the sanctuary today to join our in-person community time immediately following the service. In the recent rearticulation of the values that we American Unitarian Universalists hold most dear, love is the power that holds us together and is at the center. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. We hope you experience some of that love today here at Unity Temple. I have one short announcement from the Board of Trustees. Please mark your calendars. December 8th, our annual congregational meeting is coming up. Please look for more information in the e-beacon, and we'll continue with these reminders from the pulpit on Sundays. We are so glad that you are here with us today. Whether you are here in person or here virtually, we hope you find the service inspiring and meaningful. I invite those of you here in person to take a moment to greet one another.
I'm Reverend Emily Gage. My pronouns are she and her. Our chalice lighter this morning is Peter. Peter likes Pokemon. His favorite color is orange, and Peter is 6.5 years old. Please join with me in the words of our chalice lighting. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is the church of the open minds, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. We take care of the planet Earth and each other.
Good morning. I'm Madonna Thielen. My pronouns are she, her. How do we weave a tapestry of love, especially now? It's the hammer of justice. It's the bell of freedom that weaves a national tapestry of love. The hammer of justice is the warp of the tapestry's loom. The bell of freedom is the weft of the weaving. And we who sing the song of love are the weavers. Several years ago, I had the privilege of meeting Dolores Huerta, the great civil rights advocate, for the second time. And during our lunch together, she talked about her 80 years of beating the hammer of justice for the Latinx farm workers, and then expanding that vision of justice to include the Filipino and the Asian and Native American farm workers. I asked her how she maintained hope in the face of the slow progress of human rights for these largely undocumented farm workers, most of whom were recruited to work in the fields of Southern California with low pay, long hours, and no protections from pesticides or from the abuse of field overseers. I don't remember exactly how she answered that question of how she maintained hope. I only remember my impressions of her as a strong woman. A strong woman who understood that she was working for a future she would not see, a future for her children, a future for the undocumented laborers, a future for a country that says it values human rights and waiting for it to honor those values. She reminded me of a wise woman who rings the bell of freedom again and again, hoping that someone will hear it and join her in the quest for freedom. And she used the hammer of justice to weave a tapestry of love for all people, thread by thread, weaving every day, taking the thread of hope and weaving it under and over the thread of freedom and justice, fashioning a design out of a vision of love. Dolores Huerta wove a tapestry of love and calls me and you to use the hammer of justice and the bell of freedom to keep on weaving this tapestry, even though we may never see its completion. Let us maintain hope together as we continue to weave this tapestry of love. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life's journey, wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together.
Our opening hymn today is number 1009, and it is in the small teal hymnal. And Marty is going to lead us and tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you. Stand and rise if you're able, and join me. If you look at this music in your teal hymnal, you've got several options here, and we're going to go through all of them. After we sing the top line, the second line, the bottom line, we'll go back and you're going to choose. Everybody, when I breathe in. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. And scant in. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. Again. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out. Now with me, all together, breathe in. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Do that again. Breathe in, breathe out. One more time.
Please remain standing and join me in the words of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine, thus to be covenant with each other and with God.
My name is Vanessa Crowder. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve on your spiritual care team. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. Sharing the joys and sorrows of our lives is one of the ways we embody love in our congregation. Before each service, you may share your joys and sorrows in the binder right outside the doors of the sanctuary. You can also email your joys and sorrows to us at spiritualcare@unitytemple.org. If you'd like to talk with someone about what is on your heart, please feel welcome to contact the spiritual care team. We usually have a little blue heart on our name tags. We are here to listen and sit with you in times of both joy and sorrow. Here are the joys and sorrows that were shared this week. We celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the Mindful Reflection Group at Unity Temple. All are welcome to celebrate with cake and meditation this Tuesday evening, November 12th. Corey Anderson was in a car accident and is in the hospital in Rockford. Hopefully, he'll be able to come home Tuesday. However, his car was totaled, but he has a friend who's going to pick him up. Carolyn and CJ Lind celebrated their 15-year wedding anniversary on Wednesday, November 6th. We know that we hold many joys and sorrows in silence. We invite anyone who has a joy or sorrow to come forward to drop a stone into the bowl at one of the 4 stations around the sanctuary. We invite you to engage in the spiritual practice of silence during this shared ritual. Let us begin.
These words are from our colleague, the Reverend Elizabeth Stevens. Let us unite our hearts and minds in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Oh, my dear ones, I know you were hoping for a once and done, for an earthquake, a tidal wave, hoping that if we gave it our all, a single push would be enough. That after this, we could sink back into complacency, back into the comfort of our privilege. I confess, in the secret corners of my heart, I wanted to believe it could be that easy, that justice would emerge as from an egg, fully grown, not with wet down and weak wings. But beloveds, we are chipping away at a mountain, not a boulder. Calcified structures created to oppress, control, kill. 2,000 years of this stupid idea that some are worthy, some deserve power by virtue of who they are. Erosion is slow work. Celebrate the progress, the triumphs. Celebrate also the heartbreaking almosts. Breathe. Rest for a time. Then get up and turn again toward kindness, toward your neighbor in need, toward those who are still trapped in the stone. Tell them, I won't give up. Tell them, I am with you. Tell them, for you, I will learn to eat rocks. For you, I will keep chewing, keep grinding until the mountain crumbles to dust. Amen. Blessed be. If you are someone who likes to come close when you're listening to a story, I invite you to come and sit down on the floor near me. I have a lot of big feelings about the election this week. Do any of you have any big feelings? Yeah, looks like a lot of people have some big feelings. And whatever happens, I want everybody to know that you are loved very, very much. What are some things that you do to take care of yourself when you feel like you need some extra care? I like to take walks with my dog. Yeah, I've got some cosigns over here. You like to eat? Yeah, there's some good foods. One of the things that I keep hearing people say is like, don't forget to breathe. And should we take a deep breath together? All right. I have a book today that it's kind of about breathing and helping ourselves when we need a little extra inner peace. This is called I Am Peace. It's by Susan Verde, and the pictures are by Peter Reynolds. There are times when I worry about what might happen next and what happened before. The thoughts in my head are like rushing water, and I feel like a boat with no anchor, being carried away. I give myself a moment, I take a breath, and then I tell myself, it's all right. I feel the ground beneath my feet, and I steady myself and start to notice the here and the now. My thoughts begin to settle, my mind begins to clear. I am peace. I can watch my worries gently pop and disappear. I let things go. I can say what I feel inside out loud. I know myself. I can share kindness with others. I make a difference. Look at this. Can you see what they're doing? Those are seeds being planted. I don't know why it bounced, but it's landing. And then, look what might happen. And it grew again. I can hug a tree and thank it for its beauty and strength. I connect to nature. Oh, the tree's even bigger. I can watch the clouds make shapes against the sky. I know wonder. I can taste and smell and touch and hear and see what is all around me. I use my senses. I can feel my breath, feel my whole body. I tune in to me. Now the water is still. I have found my anchor, and everything is all right. I don't need to worry about before or after. I am in this moment. I am peace. Now I share my peace with others and hope that it is carried away to those who need it. And I dream we are peace. Okay, let's go ahead.
Each week, Unity Temple splits the offering evenly. One half supports the programs and the mission of the congregation. This week and this month, the other half supports the UU Prison Ministry of Illinois. The UU Prison Ministry of Illinois seeks to equip Unitarian Universalists in Illinois to transform institutions and to support people harmed by the prison industrial complex. The UUPMI advocates for criminal justice, partnering with the UU Advocacy Network of Illinois and other organizations, and it educates and builds awareness of the prison industrial complex. It serves over 150 persons inside prison through its Pen Pal program, creates solidarity support groups in UU congregations for persons released from prison, and provides group services inside the Cook County Jail and the Logan Women's Prison. Next week, UU MPI staff members Reverend Allison Farnham and Keith Talley will be here to do the service. May what you give bring you joy, and may what you give help change the world. It does. It feels important this morning to invoke the presence of our ancestors. So I felt their presence last week. I bet a lot of you did. Like those who decade after decade after decade toiled steadfastly and courageously and imperfectly for universal suffrage. And so we need to remember, we need to feel the presence of all those who have worked for justice and are gone. Their example, their witnesses, their struggles are with us. So let's take a moment to say in our hearts, or even better out loud, the names of one or two or three ancestors that you bring with you into this space today. They may be dead, they may be famous, they may not be famous, they may be people you know, they may not be people you know. Let's together speak those or feel those into the sacred space. And we want to make space today in this sacred place for those big or small or whatever kinds of feelings you have with you this morning. Here's some of what I'm feeling today and this week: fear, grief, lamentation, anger, rage, anxiety, terror, despair, hope, resistance, resilience. All those beyond are welcome here. You are welcome here. Your feelings are welcome here. In some ways, this feels a lot like 8 years ago, and it feels different in other ways. It's certainly not quite the surprise 8 years ago was. We have some wisdom learned in that first term that we didn't have in 2016. This is more decisive than 2016, when winning included actually losing by 3 million votes. And we need to remember that even though this is being painted as a big margin of victory, it was about 51 to 48%, with 4 million votes separating. Also, this time there appear to be fewer guardrails in place, and for those of us who are white and through our obliviousness said in 2016, this is not who we are as American people, well, that's a lot harder to say this time, isn't it? So a question keeps piercing through my jumble of all these feelings, which is, now what? Now what? And each of us will answer this differently. It's okay. I'm going to share how I answer that now what. Some of it's actually what I shared before the election, because a lot changed maybe, but maybe nothing changed too. We knew that we'd have to keep at this regardless of the result. So now what? I need to be a fierce ally for those who are marginalized, for those who are in even greater danger. Some who are marginalized and in greater danger are among us today. Others, certainly me included, have a lot of privilege. And so I think we are called to be fierce allies of those who are most at risk. For me, then, I need to center my heart, my mind, my body on the people who were targeted in horrible ways again in this campaign, who are palpably more in danger today than they were a week ago, and will be even more so on January 20. I need to not look away. I need to not retreat into obliviousness. I need to keep asking myself and those in danger, what can I do to be a good ally? What can I do to be there and to not cause more harm? What can I do internally to be a good ally? Now what? I said a few weeks ago, we just heard from the beautiful story, we need to take care of ourselves. I need to take care of myself, my body, my spiritual center, my emotions, or else I will not be of use. I do a daily spiritual practice, and you know what? On Wednesday morning, I didn't do it. That's not what I need to be doing. Now what? I need to tend to the relationships I have with my beloveds, with family, with friends, with people in community like all of you. I asked myself this week, thinking about this sermon, what is the image of disconnection that comes to mind? And the one I came up with is not very elegant, but it is that I'm swirling in a toilet bowl, reaching up for support, and no one's there, and I'm going around. Yeah, not an elegant image, but that's what I got today. The truth is, I need my peeps. Now what? I need to make space in my life for beauty and for joy, recognizing that beauty which is within and between and among and all around us. I need to make room to see that, to feel it, and to feel joy because it is there. Now what? I need to nurture hope. And not hope built on some magical thinking, denial, but hope that is real, that is fierce, and yes, that is fragile. There's no guarantee that the moral arc of the universe bends to justice. That's not a scientific statement of fact. And if it does, there's no timetable for when that's going to happen. And even if it does, we don't know what it's going to look like or how exactly this will all unfold. I thought a lot this week about that speech that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave the night before he died, the speech where he talked about before he was assassinated. He talked about how he had seen the promised land, but he wouldn't get there. I always thought about that speech because of what happened the next day. He was talking about himself. Yes, he was, but he was talking about all of us. All of us can see the promised land, at least in our imagination, and none of us are going to get there. The handful of women that Reverend Emily talked about last week who were there in 1848 at the Seneca Falls Convention and got to cast their vote in 1920. Well, 1920 wasn't the promised land, was it? We were reminded of that this week, 104 years later, and we still have not had a non-male president. The glass ceiling. How about the 20-foot concrete ceiling? That's what it feels like. And yet we still need to picture that promised land because this does help us keep going. And we need to know that maybe humanity might not get there, and maybe and certainly we are not going to get there, but what we do still matters. It still makes a difference. For me, holding that picture of the promised land is hope. Yes, fragile hope, not grandiose hope, not hope about a future I get to define, but it's hope because I can do something today to help get there. And I need to hold that hope passionately. I need to hold that hope lightly with detachment in the sense that the Buddha taught, and I need to hold that hope fiercely. This is part of what I need to do to keep on marching. Now what? I need to avoid giving in to the hate by embracing hate myself. I need to name the hate that's out there. I need to resist the hate that's out there, and I don't need to imbibe that hate that's out there. I don't need to turn it on myself and others, even on the forces of hate. And so when I sat down Thursday morning to center myself, I turned to the next poem in this book that I've been working through, a poem a week from Padre Gautama, poems that he finds dear, that as he called them, help open up the world. And the next poem I picked wasn't. I mean, it was the next page. I didn't pick it. It's called A Place Where We Are Right by the Israeli poet Yehuda Armakai. And this is a translation by Stephen Mitchell. From the place where we are right, flowers will never grow in spring. The place where we are right is hard and trampled like a yard, but doubts and love dig up the world like a mow, a plow, and a whisper will be heard in the place where the ruined house once stood. So Thursday morning I thought, great, this is the poem I get today. I'm angry, I'm enraged at the forces of hate that they won the election. I'm angry about this endlessly growing layer upon layer of racism and sexism and white supremacy culture and despising of LGBTQ plus people and anyone who is labeled as other, and I'm supposed to sit with this poem today. But the answer for me, the hard answer for me, is to resist not just the forces of hate, but also the hatred that threatens to take hold of my soul. It's real, folks. The answer to hate is not more hate. To resist putting hate rather than love at the center, I need to do that. I need to avoid retreating into this sense that I am so right, this righteousness that replicates the narrow us versus them. You're either with us or against us, and if you're against us, maybe you should be killed. I need to avoid that feeling. And as hard as it is for me, Amakai's poem calls me to resist declaring the place where I am the place absolutely of right. For when I do that, flowers will never grow there in the spring. I need to resist the forces of hate fiercely, but not in a way that embraces the hatred back. So friends, the forces of hate are counting on us to be exhausted and to be mired in despair. The forces of hate are counting on the chaos and the vitriol and the anger and the anxiety to cause us to neglect our bodies, our spirits, our relationships, everything that will help us plant ourselves firmly in their path. They're counting on us to turn on each other. And man, that happened in so many spaces, even in Unitarian Universalist congregations since 2016. We've turned on each other way too often. And so I hope that this beautiful, imperfect, beloved Unity Temple community can be part of the survival kit for each one of us in these days and weeks and years ahead. And it already is for me. It already is for me. You see, I find it easier to care for myself in community. Hearing about 71 folks in our mindful reflection community who showed up on Wednesday morning, that's why I got to my meditation seat on Thursday morning. All you 71, thank you. I find it easier to stay connected when I'm in community. My colleague saying on Wednesday, I'm going to skip this meeting because I got to get home and listen to my kid after school today. That reminded me to tend my relationships, especially now. Community helps me notice beauty and feel joy. The choir, all those folks, they showed up on Wednesday night to practice. And they're here this morning sharing this beauty, this love, this message. You all remind me to try to find ways I can be a vessel of beauty. All of you who continue to toil for justice, even when the promised land feels so far off, those of you who are picking yourself up after this week and getting back to that work of building and protecting and preserving democracy, getting your hammer to do that work, you inspire me to keep marching. And so together, we are weaving a tapestry of love. And as I've thought about weaving that tapestry of love in this hard, new, maybe not that new day, I found guidance this week and more words from Elizabeth Stevens. That's the person that Emily shared some words from in the meditation. Reverend Elizabeth is a UU minister I have enormous respect for in Idaho, a place that has been in the grips of Christian nationalism for a while. So she wrote this week, "What is love asking me to do now?" The answers have been surprising. I'm 100% ready to risk my own safety to protect those who are more vulnerable than I am. But more often, what love asks of me are things like cooking chili to raise funds for students to create a lending library for gender-supporting supplies, or putting on sequins and singing Kesha songs to raise money for the fight for reproductive freedom. Basically, she goes on, living in a hostile environment has looked mostly like continuing to live my life and encouraging my folks to do the same. We dance, we sing, we eat good food, we laugh a lot. We cultivate resilience by deepening spirituality. We try to take exquisite care of ourselves and one another. Joy is resistance. Rest is resistance. Hang in there, beloveds. So what is love asking me to do now? Reverend Elizabeth asks. Well, here's one thing. It's asking me to organize a potluck this coming Saturday, 5 p.m. at our community center, 1019 South Boulevard. And by organizing it, I mean I'm going to unlock the door, and I'm going to run the dishwasher when we're done, and I'm going to take out the trash. There's no sign up for this, just show up. Bring a dish to pass. If this week it turns out it's not a good week to bring a dish to pass, don't. But come. There's always plenty of food at these things, right? Come anyway. And if you can't come in person, I'm going to also open a Zoom room at 5 p.m. on Saturday so you can hang out with folks, maybe eat together, sort of virtually. You will need to register for this because we can't send a Zoom link out to the world. And I want to say to the people who are watching today virtually, you're not just watching, you're here. The people who are going to watch this service later, you're here, you're part of us. And even though there's some of you who we don't ever see, literally, there's some of you we see very infrequently, you're part of us. We see you. We love you. So, Saturday night, we're going to be together, those who want to. We're going to break bread together. We're going to laugh and cry and talk and listen and smile at babies and maybe hold the door open for somebody who needs that. We're going to hug, we're going to shake hands, we're going to bump elbows, we're going to bow. We're going to be together. And we're going to bring ourselves to that and to everything else that we're doing here. And we're going to know that that is enough. It is always enough just to bring ourselves. Let's keep finding ways to hammer together, to love together, to be together, to weave this tapestry of love. Together, together, together. Our closing song is 159 in the large hymnal. This is our song. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join in singing. The closing words today are from a poem called A House Called Tomorrow by Alberto Rios. From the centuries, we human beings bring with us the simple solutions and songs, the river bridges and star charts and song harmonies, all in service of a simple idea that we can make a house called tomorrow. What we bring finally into the new day every day is ourselves. And that's all we need to start. That's everything we require to keep going. Let's join together in the chalice extinguishing words. Carry the flame of peace and love.